Hey, what's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. Here we go. The highly anticipated comet, quite possibly of a generation, at least in a long time. The name of this comet has a backstory, and I was told the other day that the name of this comet originated from me and my subscribers. And I was like, wow, I had no idea. What's going on, guys? And today, there's Polenta or Forest, Michael Gale. Listen, guys, I'm going to be hanging out in the chat room today after I get through my material here. I want to give you guys an update on the comet and the whole situation that's about to unfold. This is definitely a once-in-a-generation event, no doubt about it. And you're looking at a very recent image of what they're calling the Devil Comet. Not me. These guys gave it that name. But I suppose people are thinking it came from me. I just happened to do some research on the comet because I've been following this for months, as you guys well know. Long before anybody else was talking about it. I've been following this thing coming in. This is an image taken less than 36 hours ago by Tony Scarmato out of Italy. And wow, it is starting to react to the energy of the sun, just like every comet does that's ever dove into the solar system. This one's no different. However, the timing of it is impeccable. It's going to be at perihelion, the close approach to the sun, or its close approach to the sun, during a total eclipse. What? I mean, just that alone is priceless. It really and truly is. So you're going to see something, weather permitting, quite remarkable. And it's doing what everybody that's been watching closely was hoping it would do. Nobody's in any type of there's not going to be any problems, guys. Just enjoy it, man. You're going to witness something truly incredible. But here's what's happened. The comet has been outbursting on its own before it even gets close to the sun. Every comet that's non-volcanic, like this one here, is loaded with what they call icy volcanoes. It's got ice geysers on it and everything. Can you imagine? About the size of Houston, Texas, but maybe a little bigger. The Comet itself is much bigger than Houston, but the core, I would say, it's probably in the vicinity of the size of Houston. Can you imagine driving around on this thing and geysers shooting up and just wild. That's what's coming towards the sun. It's going to be chasing Jupiter through the sky. Oh yeah, it's going to be chasing Jupiter through the sky on April 8th, middle of the afternoon, when daylight turns to darkness. Oh, wow. But anyway, here we are at spaceweather.com. A brand new article, Comet Outburst confirmed. This is one of many that's happened over the last few months. It was doing outbursts, sorry about that. It was doing outbursts on like a 15-day cycle, and then it kind of got out of that rhythm, and now it's starting to outburst again. And more than likely, the closer it gets to the sun, the more it's going to react. Multiple astronomers are now confirming that Comet 12P Pons-Brooks, the Devil Comet, underwent a 1.1 magnitude outburst on April 2nd into the 3rd. Probably an ice geyser erupted on the comet's surface, spewing a mix of reflective gas and dust into space. The timing is perfect for observers who want to try to photograph the comet during the dark minutes of Monday's total eclipse. And here's where it's going to be in the sky during the total eclipse. You can already see this thing in the sky right now. So if you have a good view tonight, and I know those of you on the East Coast, it's already getting close to sunset. Look in the western sky. It'd be to the left of the sun. Sun's going to set. Look to the left. Just above the horizon, you should be able to see the comet at the very least with a set of binoculars. You might. Some people are able to see it already with the naked eye. Already. And it's only going to get bigger the closer it gets to the sun. But here you go. During the eclipse, this is how it's going to go down, man. You're going to have the moon eclipse the sun. okay, if you're able to see it. There's going to be a slew of clouds, unfortunately, through the path of totality, so we're going to have to see how all that unfolds. But during the eclipse, some places the eclipse is going to last 4 minutes. Some places the eclipse, I'm talking totality, is going to last a minute and a half, some 3.5 minutes. But during the total eclipse, you're going to be able to see Jupiter quite easily. Just above Jupiter, to the right, at the, let's say, 2 o'clock position, okay? If Jupiter were a clock, 2 o'clock position, that's where the comet's going to be. Could look like a dragon chasing Jupiter through the daytime sky. Are you serious right now? You can't make this stuff up. And it's going to happen. Oh, yeah. It's going down, man. In a good way. In a good way. You're going to be able to see Venus to the right if the sun were a clock. 3 o'clock position to the right. Venus. This is a map over at spaceweather.com, but we've been talking about this. Hey, John Sprott, thank you, man. Appreciate that. A map from spaceweather.com. This is what you're going to be able to see during the daytime sky as it turns to darkness. The planets are usually there. I've actually seen Venus in the daytime sky multiple times without an eclipse. Venus is a pretty easy target at any given time. Venus is going to be to the right. You're going to have Mars and Saturn even farther to the right at the 3 o'clock position as well. Probably not super visible. Venus is going to be visible. Check it out. Venus is going to be visible before the eclipse. Oh, man. It's going to be wild, guys. You might be able to see Mercury. Kind of doubt it, though. But if you want to look for Mercury, it's going to be right here. Again, assuming the sun were a clock, Mercury would be at the 10 o'clock position, okay? It's going to be very difficult to see. Mercury is very elusive, even during total eclipse. So it's probably going to be visible, but very, very dim. Jupiter, out of this world, man. Take pictures, have a blast. You're going to see... Can you imagine seeing something like this 1,000 years ago without any type of technology? You can carry around in your hand now sky maps. It'll tell you exactly what's up in the sky. But 1,000 years ago, you couldn't. But they had the best skies ever because they didn't deal with light pollution back then. So every night was just a treat. You look up and you see the sky just full of jewels. But can you imagine looking up and seeing what looked like a dragon with a long tail and a green head chasing a bright, what looked like a star, what we know as Jupiter, through the sky? Man, people would be having a fit. So anyway, this is what's going to happen. This is what the sky is going to look like during the eclipse, assuming it's not cloudy in your area. And that could be a possibility, unfortunately. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But back to spaceweather.com. And they're referring to this as the Devil Comet is now a naked eye object. What? Suddenly, amateur astronomers are seeing a naked eye comet in the evening sky. That's why I encourage you. It's already getting dark along the East Coast. Go outside and look. You could be able to see this thing. If not, I got a pair right over there on my desk. Get a pair of binoculars. You'll be able to see the comet. Go for it, man. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Take advantage of it. It's Comet 12P Pons-Brooks, also known as the Devil Comet. And the reason they call it that, guys, is because whenever it does do these outbursts like this, it's not because of anything nefarious. This is just such a unique moment in time. This thing... When these geysers are just right, sometimes the geysers will come off each side simultaneously. So it looks like it's got horns. Describe them as wings, whatever you want. But that's who gave it the name, not me. But if you want to think I did, that's fine too. But it's not anything nefarious. Waiting for next Monday's solar eclipse in Mexico. Peter Horlick photographed the comet last night and found it much brighter than the last time he saw it. So this is a view of the comet on, okay, here we go. That's what it looked like on March 19th. And keep in mind, on March 19th, compared to the next photo, which is April 4th, it was considerably farther away from the sun. And it's getting closer and closer and closer. In fact, here's how close it is. Check it out. We've been following this every step of the way. We check on this is the path of the comet over at the NASA JPL. Right there it is. So again, I can't emphasize enough. Step outside and look to the west after dark. You should be able to see it. That's where it's at. Again, Jupiter is over here. It's a little farther out on this map. In fact, I can see, there's Jupiter right there. Jupiter, but it's going to look like it's chasing Jupiter through the sky. Here's where the comet is. It is right on schedule. The ETA has not changed. It's going to be here during the total eclipse. And to the best of my knowledge, this has never happened. I don't think it's ever happened, at least in recorded history. You got to be kidding me. 3 days, 16 hours away from the main event. Oh, yeah. So what's going to happen? I've been hearing all kinds of speculation about different things. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but let me get through the rest of the article, see how it's getting brighter. That's about 2.5 weeks apart. And the photographer goes on to say, I assume an outburst is in progress. My estimate of the comet's magnitude is a plus 3.5. Definitely worth taking a look in the next hours and the next few days. And it will be visible even after the eclipse. After the eclipse, you'll still be able to go look in the western sky after sunset and be able to see the comet. Indeed, now is a good time to look. After sunset, the comet emerges in the western sky, not far from the planet Jupiter. And he's exactly right. If you just look in the vicinity of Jupiter, just kind of look around, you'll probably be able to find it, assuming the skies are clear and you don't have clouds. Naked eye observers will see a dim fuzzball. Cameras and small telescopes reveal the comet's magnificent tail. You know what? It doesn't look cloudy here. We've been dealing with clouds here in Arizona off and on for several days in a row. I mean, we're not complaining. We like the rain and a little bit of cloud cover. But you would know we're trying to dial in this comet, and the clouds definitely make it challenging. Mary Beth Kaczynski sends in this composite photo of Comet 12P from the Eagle Harbor Lighthouse in Michigan. Check it out. How cool is that, man? Are you serious right now? Now, you guys know what a composite is. A composite is a collection of long duration photos taken with a DSLR like I'm using right up there. That's what I got for the eclipse. 30-second exposures stacked on top of each other. You're not going to be able to go out tonight and look and see that in the sky. She was able to see it, but that's a composite. I could see it with the naked eye once my eyes adjusted, but barely. She says, my camera had no trouble though. This is a stack of 20 images, 30 seconds each, and I figured they were probably at least 30. Comet 12P is approaching the sun for a close encounter later this month. Its increasing brightness and proximity to the sun means it might be visible from the path of totality during the April 8th eclipse. Photos of a comet inside the moon's shadow are very rare. That indeed they are. A tip for eclipse photographers: take 2 cameras, one for the sun and another for Comet 12P. You might be glad you did. And there's photos here by Chris Schur out of Payson, Arizona. I haven't looked at these. Look at that. Payson, Arizona. My man, Chris, good job. Look at that. Nice. That's from right up the road. Good job, Chris. Michael Jager. This guy right here is one of the best in the world at what he does. Comet 12P Pons-Brooks between M33 and Jupiter. M33 is a galaxy right over here. There's Jupiter right there. And there's the comet low on the horizon. And he knows where to look. This guy is, like I said, phenomenal. He can find anything in the night sky. He's a true pro. But that's where it will be. If you're looking in the western sky after sunset, look right there. He took this photo from Austria, right there. Martinsburg, Austria. Wow, that guy is amazing. He's got some good equipment, though. And then Tony, that I shared with you at the beginning of the video, here's another view. This is a slightly different view. Man, I'm telling you, the head of this thing, it's tumbling. They're saying it's doing some sort of weird behavior in regard to how it's tumbling through the night sky. Wow, it should be quite an ordeal, guys. It really should. And here's a close-up view of the photo by Mary Beth Kaczynski, or Kaczynsk out of Michigan. Cool photo right above the lighthouse. She couldn't have positioned that any better. That is an excellent photo. Good job, Mary Beth. Way to go. Once again, out of Michigan. So, guys, we're 3 days, 16 hours away. I mean, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is something that has to be considered. You know, like any celestial event, we're on the ground down here, and we have to look up through many layers of atmosphere. Even when the skies are clear, there's atmospheric phenomena that interfere with our view of anything in the nighttime sky, even the moon, stars especially, planets. But when you throw in clouds, I mean, it really throws a wrench into things. So, as you can see, I'm over here at Ventusky, and Ventusky is good. I mean, Ventusky is really good. I've been using Ventusky for several days, and as you can see, like Dallas on April 8th, this is the date of the eclipse, and I've even got it calibrated to the time, right around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Some areas are going to see cloud cover, but this isn't a guaranteed scenario. It is a scenario because we're less than 4 days away, so this is probably going to happen like this, but maybe just slightly different. So let's say I were to plan to go to Dallas, and right now it shows, you know, cloudy. It could be clear by the 4th. Then again, it could remain like this. These clouds could move up into Indianapolis. I was really hoping for just clear skies throughout the entire path, but all of this stuff is in a state of motion. It's moving right now. The cold fronts and low pressures and high pressures, they're moving. They're in a constant state of motion. So this is a very educated best guess scenario. It's going to be cloudy in some places along the path, especially through Mexico. The path of totality goes right through there, and they're looking at 100% cloud cover. Are you serious right now? Come on, we need to clear these clouds out. We want everybody to be able to see this. Clouds in parts of Arkansas, but for now, looking pretty good. Southern Illinois looking pretty good. Indianapolis, for the time being, looking pretty good. But I've been following this for days. It changes every day. So it's going to change again tonight. It'll change again tomorrow. So it's making it very challenging on, okay, you know, where should I go? If anywhere. Should I stay here in Phoenix where they're showing 0% cloud cover and take the 65, 70% guaranteed pretty much? Or do I hop on a plane and fly somewhere where it might be cloudy and get nothing? That's where I'm at. And you guys know I've been super excited about this. Been following this since it was at like 70 or 80 days. And we're down to 3. So I don't know. That's where I'm at with it, guys. I really don't know. But I've been hearing a lot of talk about, you know, various things occurring during the eclipse. I just did a simple Google search about CERN. You know, CERN is going to be running during the eclipse. And this particular CERN, do you guys know that there are many large hadron colliders positioned around the world? There's even one in Chicago. I don't think it's active anymore. It's not being used, but there was one in Chicago for a while. This particular one that they're talking about possibly running, and it's going to be running during the eclipse, is in Switzerland, Austria, somewhere over in Austria, yeah, Switzerland. Yeah, it's going to be running. And they say that the reason they're going to be they're not even going to be able to see the eclipse, number one, over in Austria. It's not going to be visible. It's going to be dark. They're close to dark. I don't think it's a big deal, guys. I really don't. There was a fake video going around, and I'm not even going to show it, you know, about some sort of weird light in the sky over above the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider, and it turned out to not even be true. The video was a year old. But it is coincidental, you know, all these strange coincidences occurring during the eclipse, all along the path of the eclipse. I mean, coffee for moderator. Thank you, Radisav. Blatovic, thank you. I'll get a coffee with that. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That would be, yes, sir. So yeah, I'll get a coffee. Thank you. Appreciate that. But all the strange coincidences along the path of the eclipse with the unique names and stuff, I mean, it makes it super interesting. It really does. The very fact that there's going to be a comet in the sky during the eclipse, guys, that is unheard of. That's got to be a billion to one. A billion to one. That would be my guess. A billion to one of something like that ever happening again, or ever happening for that matter. Maybe it has. It just depends on how we interpret, celestial objects in the sky. But I don't know, man. This is really rare. It really and truly is. And you guys are in for a treat. So wherever the clouds are least prevalent, you guys are in for a phenomenal show. Hopefully all the clouds will move out. Here in the Phoenix area, we're looking at 60. Okay, I'm right over in here. So we're at 65 to 70%. And it looks like no clouds. Like right now, there's no clouds in the sky. And we may just cruise down the road where we have a nice view of the western sky and look for the comet tonight. I may take the telescopes right over there. We'll see how that goes. But man, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I want to go be a part of it, but that's a lot of dough, man, to shell out, to hop on a plane and hotel and all that. I don't mind doing it. I've been looking forward to doing it. But the only thing holding me back is these clouds, man. No matter where I choose, I just have a feeling because the clouds are all moving that way. And if I chose Dallas, there's still clouds in Mexico that could move into Dallas between now and then. These clouds here are going to be moving to the east-northeast between now and the time of the eclipse. So on the 8th, this could all change. The whole personality of this map could change. It could very easily be cloudy in Indianapolis and Arkansas and places like that. So, man, I'm telling you, it would be a huge roll of the dice for me to fork out all that and then get there and it'd be cloudy and not get anything. So we'll see. I haven't ruled it out completely, but we'll just have to see on that. All right. Right now, I don't know. I don't think I'm going anywhere. I'd rather stay here and get 65, 70% than get nothing at all. So we'll see. We'll see. I just wish there were no clouds of any kind, but that's just simply not the case. But anyway, it's going to be an incredible event for a lot of you folks out there, and even the people in the path of 60, 70, 80. It's still going to be great. Don't get me wrong. Right here is the path of totality. That's a little banner I put together a while back with some interesting names and the red heifer supposedly being sent to. And back in June 15th of 763 BC, there was an eclipse over Babylon, I think, back in the day. Just all kinds of cool connections with ancient history and modern day history, and the parallels really are quite intriguing, to say the least. But don't be concerned about CERN. Not anything to worry about. Not going to happen. Yeah, it may be on, but that's okay. Let her rip, man. Let her rip. You guys enjoy the eclipse, and I'm going to bring to you what I can. I'm still doing a live stream, 100%. I'm going to do the live stream. Just don't know where yet, guys. Don't know where. But I don't know that I'm going to take a chance on going somewhere where it's cloudy and, not be able to see anything at all. So we'll see. But it's going to be quite a show. The comet is starting to react to the sun more and more. And I'm telling you, every second that this thing gets closer and closer to the sun, it's going to react more and more and more. So right now, the possibilities for this comet are infinite. This thing could become massive. Right now, nobody really knows because we don't know its true composition. It's obviously very feisty and has been very feisty for months. before it's even gotten close to the sun. Now it's getting closer. I've seen comets in the past. I've seen the sun take and hurl huge CMEs coincidentally directly at comets multiple times. And I'm curious if it's going to happen this time. There's also planetary alignments in play. There's all kinds of things in play that you could look at that are aligning not only with the sun, the moon, and the earth. There's planets lining up too. There's unique planetary alignments in play during the eclipse and after, right? They're occurring right now during the eclipse and after. Just a few days after, but yeah, there's unique planetary alignments occurring. All kinds of very interesting things occurring. This is a slideshow I put together of various things. Here's the shadow of the eclipse. This is what would look like from space. Let's say you were on the moon, okay, and you were looking at the earth. That's what you would see. You'd see that shadow being cast on the earth by the moon. Yeah, absolutely, because it'd be blocking out the sunlight. So super rare. I'm totally stoked about it. I'm not so stoked about the clouds. I will say the cloud situation has improved compared to what it was 3 or 4 days ago, because I've been watching that as close as I've been watching the comet. Because obviously that's a big deal, man. You're not going to be able to see the eclipse that well. There's multiple layers of clouds, okay? You've got low clouds, you've got medium clouds, you've got high clouds. The high clouds, you know, at the 30, 40,000 foot range, you can work around that. That's not necessarily going to be super problematic. Okay, you're still going to be able to see the eclipse. The clouds may be moving as long as they're moving along at a pretty good clip. And then sometimes the clouds can act as a solar filter themselves. The medium clouds, mid-range, you know, 15, 16, 18,000 footers. Depending on the degree of thickness and coverage, those can also possibly be workable when you're dealing with an eclipse. Low clouds at 2,000, 3,000 feet, 700 feet, forget it. Especially if it's 100% cloud cover. So that's the thing. That comet right there, that's Mr. McNaught back in 2007 reacting to the sun. This one could do the same thing. We don't know its complete composition. I'm sure they have an idea, but I've seen the sun hurl just like that, big old CMEs directly at comets. It didn't do it to McNaught, but I've seen it do it to other ones. Absolutely. Guys, again, it's going to get exciting. It's starting to get exciting to hear that the comet is reacting already to the sun. Yeah, that's really, really cool. But what I'd like to do now, something I haven't done before, and I'm going to interact in the chat room here much as I can. We're going to do a little question and answer segment here for part of the live stream. I have got, it's better. Boy, I tell you what, I've been dealing with a shoulder issue. It's much better. There for a while, it was off the charts, but I have to be careful how I sit, believe it or not. Isn't that wild? I have to be careful how I sit at the desk. I can't lean on my shoulder, because if I do, it gets it all stirred up again. There about a month ago, like yesterday, I kind of got off the live stream quick, and you guys could probably tell, you know, that you know, I wasn't in my zone, and I wasn't. The shoulder started hurting a little bit, and it was just time to get off, so I have to be careful how I sit so I don't get it aggravated. But it's good. It's much better. At one point, it was on a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 19. Yeah, it was just off the charts. Now we're talking about like a 1 or less, so good to go. All right, guys, what's going on here? Donna Young, anybody? You know what? Let's see here. I'm going to do something. Let's see what I can do here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just thinking here. I was gonna do something here I've never done. Well, let's do it anyway. Right, right, right. Oh, thank you, Mr. Prophet. Right on, man. That's cool. Appreciate that. Okay, I'm just gonna ask a simple question here. This is something that I've not done, and we're gonna do it. I just started a little poll question here. Are you working during the eclipse? And the reason I ask that, and I know most of you, because it's going to be visible all through North America, even up into Canada, you're going to be able to see parts of the eclipse. Obviously through the United States and through Mexico, but I did see where Mexico's going to have substantial cloud cover, and that's just a bummer, man. I want everybody to be able to see it. But I've noticed, along with all these states of emergencies that have been declared, and I get it. It makes sense. If you have an influx of people into a community that's used to, easily managing, say, 200,000 people, well, now all of a sudden you have 600,000 people in the same community. Resources might run a little low. And I've also heard where kids are going to be out of school during the eclipse. A lot of states have closed schools. That means parents, are you going to be home with your children? How those of you that have kids, if they're going to be let out of school during the eclipse, what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to be home with the kids. I thought this was a cool photo here. I shared it yesterday. Here's a close-up view of yesterday's photo. That was by Brandon Cox. Get a load of that, would you? Are you serious right now? That's real. What? Yeah, that is totally real. All right, the poll was, let's see if I can even find it. There it is. Right now it's 76%. Are you working during the eclipse? No, yay, yay. 76% no. Right on. At least go out and take 5 minutes during, the eclipse, wherever you may be. It's going to be at a different time from the west coast of Mexico to Newfoundland. It's going to occur at different times along the path. Go out and check it out, man, at least for a couple of minutes, if you can, if you're able to, because it is truly going to be an event unlike no other. It'll never happen again for generations, if ever. I don't even know that it'll ever happen again, man. It is that wild. It is that wild. The poll is 76% no. Are your kids? Here, let me ask another one. Let's end this one. Let's start another one. I'm just curious. I'm just curious because I've been seeing so many articles. I'm gonna ask another question here. It's kind of fun. Make sure I got my spelling correctly. Right on. Let's go. Okay, this next question, and I'm just curious for those of you that have kids. I know not everybody in here does. Are your kids out of school? I'm just curious because I've seen Illinois is letting out like 60. Where did I read? I read it just a couple of days ago. 60 different schools. That's a pretty good size area of letting out school. I believe I've heard schools are 57, 56%. Yes. Indiana, a lot of schools closed in Indiana. I'm not exactly sure where. You get, conflicting reports. This one here is around 50-50. Some say yes, some say no. And this only applies to those of you that have kids. Schools closed. Right now it's at 57, still 56. Donna Young, did you know the word rapture? Team Alaska, what's going on, guys? Good to see you here. Thanks for sharing part of your Thursday with me. what's going on here with the, let's start her over again. There we go. Check out that sky. So it's about 50-50 I'm seeing with the poll here with your kids being out of school. And, you know, it depends on what part of the path of totality you live on. That would definitely determine that. I mean, I'm sure up in Montana, they're not letting kids out of school, or the state of Washington. But I would assume, from what I've been reading, communities along the path of 100% totality, a lot of the schools along those areas are closing at least part of the day, if not the entire day. You know, some I've heard were going to try to take their students out during the eclipse and witness the eclipse safely with protective goggles, glasses. You know, oops, sorry about that. The protective glasses and eyewear for the eclipse. They were going to try to take their students out. I heard there was a group in Austin, Texas, from a school. I heard this from a friend. I think it was my friend Randy, rockstar preacher. But the cloud cover in Austin was going to, you know, be in the way of letting the students. They were going to have their students in school, and they were going to make an afternoon of it where they can go out and watch the eclipse. Well, lo and behold, here comes the clouds. It's like, what? So this is about 50-50. 50-50. All right, thank you guys for your participation in the polls. I've never done those. Oh, thank you, Team Alaska. That's very kind, man. That's really kind. That's super cool. I appreciate it. I try. Katie, trust the plan. Right on. Me too. Trust the plan. So there's the poll right there. 52%. Yes, kids out of school during the eclipse, you know, and if you're working, you go, you know, to your job or whatever, and you what do you do for, say, your children are young and they require care after school or whatever, you know, that could kind of throw a wrench in the day. I get it, man. I get it. Our school has glasses for the kids outside of Austin. Thank you for sharing. Did you get my email, Brett Bode? You know what? We're going through email today. I'm sure I did. Thank you. What did our ancestors wear for the eclipses? Good question, visionary Vic. You know, our ancestors had the best skies every night. You know, they looked up every night and saw the sky full of just sparkly jewels, man. Have you ever seen the sky unobstructed with no light pollution? It is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful, and these people saw it every night. Every night, because they didn't have big cities that were, you know, glowing to where you could only make out maybe Orion and you know, Pegasus, and if you know where to look, you know, Hercules and of course the common planets, Venus, Jupiter, and Mars. But back then, they're seeing the edge of the Milky Way galaxy, you know, nebula. Oh my goodness, you know, they probably couldn't wait for it to get dark. I've seen it like that a few times. That's why down in South America, along the west coast of Chile, they have multiple observatories down there, and you can look them up. Google the observatories in South America. I think there's 12 within like a 150-mile stretch along the Pacific Ocean, just below the equator. They have the best seat in the house, next to Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea in Hawaii. Those are probably the very best seats in the house. That's why there are multiple observatories on top of those very tall volcanoes on the Big Island of Hawaii, because their night skies are just absolutely stunning. And our ancient ancestors saw that every night. They didn't deal with light pollution. So, you know, to see a comet going through the sky with a big fiery tail, you know, I mean, it would look fiery. We obviously know it's not fire from science and things like that we've learned. It's ice particulates and dust that are glowing from the close approach to the sun. But, you know, still, you know, it's probably very fascinating. And in some cases, it was probably frightening if you didn't know what it was, you know. So I'm talking like 1,000 years ago. But boy, they had the night skies. Every night was a party. They probably could not wait for it to get dark. Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot. What's going on, guys? AK knew this would happen. Are you talking about the clouds? You know, I was keeping my fingers crossed, and I still am. I'm like, no, clouds, go away, go away, because I knew that was always a possibility. That was always a possibility. That's just the way it is. And then plus the transition with El Nino and La Nina, and the weather patterns change and the jet stream changes. And that's why we've been seeing much more cloud cover, in case you Arizonans are wondering why we've been seeing so much cloud cover and windy days and rain. We've had rain off and on for the better part of 10 days now. It's because of those very phenomena, the La Nina and El Nino. But yeah, I mean, and you know, I've had people ask me, you know, could the planetary alignment, the alignment of the Earth, which you just saw on here, that was sent in by my friend Nelson Jenks out of North Carolina, could, and this is just a very big could. There's the sun right there. Could the sun, moon, and earth alignment during the total eclipse cause a pole reversal? And I'm like, you know, I've thought about this pole reversal, you know, when I first became aware of it, you know, many years ago. And right here, the sun, just in case you didn't know, had a pole reversal not too long ago. The magnetics, the north and south pole just simply switched place. But the question was, and it's a good question, and that's why they're running the Large Hadron Collider. They're looking for maybe different, you know, types of particles as the Earth dives into the shadow of the moon. But will it, and what they're, and NASA shooting rockets up into the atmosphere, and what they're looking for basically electrical anomalies. Because there could be a possible disconnect, you know, a slight disconnect, or at least an interruption in the flow of energy from the sun to the Earth, because we are gravitationally connected to that star. We have to be. Right there it is. Or we wouldn't be here, man. So there's a connection, you betcha. We just can't see it. Doesn't mean it's not there, though. And always remember this. There's way more of what you can't see than what you can see. And what you can't see has more of an impact on your life than what you can see. Yeah, we're surrounded by gadgets and all these things, you know. In fact, this gadget behind me, for some reason, disconnected. I'm going to reconnect it right there. There we go. What's up? Yeah, but there's way more of what we can't see than what we can. But the question was, you know, could the alignment and the sun blocking out temporarily that connection between the sun and the Earth, could it cause a pole reversal, like the magnetic field to go wonky and stuff like that? We'll have to wait and see. It hasn't happened before. And we're seeing a total eclipse again. And total eclipses aren't super rare. They happen. It's just the circumstances behind this solar eclipse are just uncanny with regard to this comet, you know. This comet has been traveling for hundreds of years, you know, and for it to just all of a sudden, its close approach to the sun falls on a total eclipse. It's mind-boggling. It really is. But as far as a pole reversal during the eclipse, and could that disrupt the connection? No, because the Earth creates its own magnetic field. It's not necessarily generated by the sun. The Earth's internal components create the magnetic field. Did you know that the North Pole on the Earth is actually the South Pole? And vice versa, the South Pole is actually the North Pole. Say what? Yeah. And you could look it up. You don't have to take my word for it. Donna Young, I have an anomaly that looks like the Star Trek. You know I'd love to see that. Looks like the USS Enterprise. Right on. All stars aligning. Christy Jensen. Gravity is bunk science. It's frequency observed and static electricity proves it. You're right about the frequencies. Frequencies control everything. That's what controls and activates, the four seasons, with regard to, especially in spring, it's that frequency change from the sun. And that frequency that's absorbed by all these leaves that you see. That's why the leaves come out. Those leaves that you see on all the trees and plants and flowers, those leaves are their solar panels that harvest energy from the sun that give them life. And they turn into beautiful flowers and beautiful trees. And unfortunately, the pollen that goes along with it, that's been driving us all crazy these past few weeks. Me included. I usually don't have allergies, but wow, the pollen this year has been pretty big. And boy, it let us know it was around. But as far as a pole reversal during the eclipse, I would say no. I don't think it's going to happen. And even if it did, you probably wouldn't even know it. It just happened on the sun, right up there. Just happened the sun. It does it quite a bit. Now they say, based off of the orientation of magnetite, I think in soil rocks, the magnetic orientation. The last time that they found that there was a change in the magnetic orientation of I guess magnetite was over 700,000 years ago, according to geography and geographers, things like that. I don't know, guys. I wasn't here. I wasn't here 700,000 years ago that I know of. So I don't know of anybody living today that was here 700 and whatever 30,000 years ago that can verify, hey, this is what happens during a pole reversal. We can only speculate. So, yeah, it's not going to do anything. The Earth creates its own magnetic. It doesn't have. I mean, the sun influences everything on Earth. Oh, yeah, absolutely it does. And it could influence the magnetic field. Of course, it's a star. We live with a star. But it doesn't create it. It doesn't create it. Oh, thank you, Sandy. Sandy, my friend Sandy, thank you. That's very kind. I'll try that. She must have heard about my shoulder. I'm telling you, it's better now, but thank you, Sandy. I may give that a try next time. I hope it doesn't flare up again like it did last time. I'm telling you, that was absolutely brutal. But as far as a pole shift, guys, great question. Yeah, great question, Could it happen? It could happen today. The North-South Pole, the South Pole has been wandering. Say South Pole in the Arctic? Look it up. I wouldn't lie to you. I wouldn't lie to you on purpose, guys. Never. I'm just not that guy. Yeah, the North Pole is the South Pole, and it's been wandering. And it probably has always wandered and probably always will. So as far as a reversal during the eclipse, I would think not. But stranger things have happened, like a comet entering the field of view during the eclipse. Now that's wild. That is wild as wild. Thank you, Team Alaska. How's everybody doing today? Hey, people experienced their good point. Thank you. I try to think logically, I really do. They say the magnetic field's not much stronger than a refrigerator magnet. What? Not much stronger than a refrigerator magnet? I got a magnet right here. This is a rare earth magnet. I don't know if you can see that or not. I've got a bigger one down here too. I'm not even going to try to get that one because it's too strong. Those are two rare earth magnets. They're probably about as strong as a magnetic field. What about a commercial displacement event? Michael Archer, a commercial displacement event. I don't know. I mean, guys, new equator will run through Canada. I don't know about that, guys. I very humbly disagree on the equator running through Canada. I very humbly disagree with the Earth tilting on its side. It's not going to happen. Sorry, I know I might be the minority here, and I'll stay that way. It's not going to happen. As long, the only way it might happen, the only way that it might happen is if every molecule of ice down in Antarctica just vanished very, very quickly. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. It can't. So you can believe what you want to believe. And I want you to be an independent thinker and think for yourself. But the bottom of the Earth is actually a little bit bigger than the top of the Earth. And you can confirm that by the length of a day in the southern hemisphere opposed to the length of the day in the northern hemisphere. And I'm talking about the longest day of the year, which would be June 21st in the northern hemisphere and September 21st in the southern hemisphere. I think that's the middle of their summer or the beginning of their summer. Look at that day and look at the length of that day, and you'll see, Team Alaska, my friend from Alaska, you'll see that that is the longest day of the year. And it's longer in the southern hemisphere by right around an hour. So that would tell you that the Southern Ocean, I think the Southern Ocean, like the biggest actual ocean on the Earth, but the Southern Hemisphere is a little bit bigger. So it's going to be kind of hard unless that ice disappears really quick. It's not going anywhere. Oh my goodness. This comet's got me thirsty. I'm looking for strong earthquakes days or weeks after the eclipse. Next it, I'm on board with that. Absolutely. The moon is just a simulator, Peg C. Team Alaska, what stops it from spinning off its axis? Good point. How's it going to stop? What's going to stop it? You know, I mean, it's just... But that's just my opinion, and it's my theory, you know. Einstein, he had lots of theories, you know. I'm not Albert Einstein by no means, but he was a theory. He was a big thinker. He had big theories, man, and they're just now proving some of his theories today. You know, what an incredible guy. And I've read several of his books, you know, about him. It's like the way he thinks, you know. He thinks outside the box. Or he thought outside the box. Cool guy. Absolutely. Very cool. Hello from Central New York. What's up, John? I read something about New York, Mr. Prophet, Earth. I read something about New York, about Waterloo. I read Waterloo, New York. Well, I heard, number one, Ontario, Niagara Falls, up in that area, they had a state of emergency because of the influx of people. And then something about the National Guard being on call in New York, northern New York, but not necessarily for New York. I didn't quite understand the article. It really didn't make a whole lot of sense. They said the National Guard was going to be activated in New York, but not for New Yorkers. I'm like, what? Whatever. Okay. It's not the moon's alignment. It's Planet X, K8E. You know what? There's probably a Planet X out there somewhere. I'd say there's probably more than one. Sure. That's not far-fetched at all. Guys, I was a planet hunter back in 2009. I joined the Planet Hunter community. And I was one of the very first members of the Planet Hunter community. And we had access to the Kepler telescope. And we had to share computers worldwide because we didn't have enough horsepower to monitor these star fields that they would give us to look for light dimming. Look, you'd get a patch of sky from Kepler. It would be live on your computer. Things have changed a lot since then. But this was back in 2009 into 2010. And seriously, it's very boring. You literally looked at a patch of sky and you waited for a star to dim. And if it dimmed 3 times, it was a candidate, wasn't guaranteed, but it was a candidate for the possibility of a star that had orbitals, a planet orbiting the star. But it had to dim 3 times at the same exact time. So, you know, it would have to dim, say, the first time it was just by chance. Okay, you saw it dim. You didn't know if it was 3 days, 5 days, 30 days. So you would just make a note. Okay, and it has a long number. This star dimmed on August 4th at 4:56 p.m. So then you'd have to really watch this thing close. And then if you noticed it again, let's say 4 days later, it dimmed again. And then it dimmed again 4 days later. So then you just determine it's got a 4-day potential orbit. It couldn't dim 4 days and then 2 days and then there'd be something else going on, possibly multiple planets. But then it got very, very complicated because you were just dealing with something about this big right here that just had points of light all over it. It was actually kind of tough to do. But I did it for a while. I submitted two. Sorry about that. I submitted two for possible exoplanets. Don't know if they ever got named because the Kepler telescope broke. I'm like, what? Yeah, it broke. There was some sort of of all things, a wheel inside the Kepler, a small wheel that gave it the ability to rotate. One of the wheels inside this big telescope, about as big as this room, a wheel broke. And then it was just stuck in one place. So the Kepler program, not long after that, it retired, So those of us that were planet hunters were no longer, we didn't have access to any new data. It was just stuck in this one star field. I forget which one it was, and it was being heavily monitored by a lot of people. The first group of planet hunters was 10,000 people. Hey, Terry Berry, what's going on, guys? And you would look for the sun to wobble back and forth. I'm sorry, I missed part of that conversation. Now you look for the star to if you were a planet hunter. I'm just sharing my planet hunting experience days. You just sit and look at a point of light, like that light up here in the ceiling of my room, and you just wait for it to dim. That's implying that something went in front of you and the telescope's field of view. Just like the moon going in front of the sun that you're going to see on the 8th. You're going to see a big dimming event on that day. And if you saw a point of light in that field, that star field, completely dim out, whoa, that was a big deal because that was potentially a very big planet. Oh yeah, it was kind of fun, but on the same token, it was kind of boring. I'm just being honest. It was about as much fun as watching paint dry. However, the anticipation of that moment where there could be a shadow of dimming, it was kind of a little bit of an adrenaline rush, especially if you saw one. And now there's over 2,000. And when I started, there was less than 100. In fact, most people didn't even believe that there were exoplanets out there. Planet hunting takes major dedication. You're right, Mr. Prophet, and it is very, very boring. But you know what I will say? What my motivation was, because I always kind of believed that there were, I look at it like this. Because I believe in God. I believe there's a creator. I believe in a higher power. Why would God stop here? You know what I mean? If God's capable of creating all of this magnificent beauty, just look in the night sky. Look at the universe as God's canvas. Why would he just stop here? I think it just goes on. And we're just now beginning to understand, that, yeah, there are other planets out there. And now I think they've discovered 2,500 or something like that confirmed. There's still others waiting to be confirmed. Just because somebody sees a dimming event on a star, that's no guarantee. It has to be confirmed by a scientist, an astrophysicist. And then what they'll do, they'll go to that star field and they'll watch it themselves, and then they'll wait. They'll already know the sequence because you gave it to them. So if they can confirm the sequence, okay, star, it's got like a name this long. It's like 3 letters and the rest numbers. And so he'll go to that star, she'll go to that star and watch it. And they know, okay, Michael said that it's got a 5-day dimming pattern. So they can watch it dim on one day and then take 4 days off and then come back on late on the fourth day and then watch. Yep, dimmed again. So they'll take a break and then come back late on that fourth day. And if it dims again on the fifth day, boom, we got an exoplanet right up there. So you do all the hard, boring work and they would know, okay, well, they would just confirm, yes, it dimmed 3 times in 15 days. So it's got a 15-day orbit, or a 5-day orbit, I'm sorry. Terry Berry, this is true. Did you ever catch a supernova? I did by accident back in 2012, yes. But not through the Kepler. I spotted something that looked like it was either a supernova or a pulsar, a neutron star. I don't know, guys, but it was in the eastern sky. Again, I wasn't looking for it. I was just standing out back, minding my own business, and I happened to see a flash of blue, not super high up in the eastern sky, probably 30 degrees off the horizon, 35. East-southeast. It was in between Leo and Hydra, near the star Alphard. Alphard is the brightest star in the constellation of Hydra. And I noticed a jagged blue flash. And I knew it wasn't a man-made light. And blue isn't typical of aviation. So I'm like, what just flashed blue in the sky? And I just happened to be looking in that direction. And I wasn't looking at anything in particular. I was just glancing at the sky. So I stayed focused on that sky, just like I did when I was a planet hunter with Kepler. So I'm used to that boring type of activity. In fact, what I was looking at was a completely dark patch of sky. It had no stars in it at all, but it was near, the first one I saw was near Alphard. So I just kind of focused on Alphard, that star at the top of Hydra. And you can confirm it, it's a real star. Alphard, you have Sextans, and you have Leo. Alphard's right up here. So I stood there and waited because I was very intrigued. I'm like, man, what was that? That wasn't an airplane because it blinked, just flashed and disappeared. Sure enough, 3.5 minutes later, it returned, but it was red. It was like a jagged cloud. And I'm like, what? And if you were to hold, I don't know, a dime, a 10-cent piece at arm's length out in front of you, that's how big it was. Approximately, it would change sizes because it was, sorry about that, it would change sizes because it was like a jagged cloud, like a nebula that would flash and turn off. 1001, that was it. You could see it 1 second. It would alternate between blue and red. And you could only see it between 9:34 and 10:08. Yeah, I watched this thing for 4 years, almost 4 years. Only in the month of March. Only when Hydra was in the east sky at 9:30 at night. And that's the only time you could see it. And you could see it for 7 nights. 8th night, the window closed with each passing night. Once you started seeing it, you could see it like, I don't know, 7 times between 9:34 and 10:08 on 3.5-minute cycles. Boom, it'd be red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, and then you couldn't see it anymore. That's because the Earth's moving. So yeah, I actually saw. I came to the conclusion it had to be some sort of a remnant nova or pulsar. I don't know. This was back in 2012. I saw it 2012, 2013, 2014, part of 2015, and 16, 17, 18. I continued to look. Couldn't see it, and I knew where to look. Saw it 90 different times. 90 different times, and it was a jagged red and blue cloud. And of that 90 times, 5, it was a very bright white piercing circle. Only 5 times. The rest, random red and blue. Pretty wild. One of the wildest things I've ever seen. That's a true story. You can't make this stuff up, man. By sheer accident. I didn't use a telescope and I didn't use binoculars. It was just there. And if you knew where to look, you could see it. But 99 out of 100 people wouldn't know it was there because it was a dark patch of sky. Who's going to sit and look at a dark patch of sky? Nobody. Unless you're a planet hunter. And I wasn't looking at a dark patch of sky. I just happened to catch a glimpse when it happened. And my wife saw it too. Yeah. On the third night, I went back out the second night before I asked her to come out and look at a dark patch of sky just to confirm it to make sure. And sure enough, the second night at exactly 9:34, cha-ching, there it was. I was like, there you are again, 24 hours later, exactly to the minute. So the third night, I asked my wife to come outside and said, hey, just check out the sky over here. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, just trust me on this one. She goes, but there's nothing there. I said, I know. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this thing's not going to show up. I'm like, you better show up, So she's standing there looking, okay, what am I looking for? I said, just wait. And I'm sitting here looking at my clock, looking at my phone, like, come on, man, where are you at? What was that? I'm like, there you are. I said, that. She goes, what was that? She goes, that was a blue cloud. I said, you tell me what it is. And she was very intrigued by it too, because it was quite fascinating. And it looked totally natural. It didn't look like a man-made artificial light. It wasn't. It was a cloud, but way far away. Way far away. But you could see it with a naked eye. Like you're going to be able to see this comet in a few days, man. We are, holy cow, we're getting close, guys. Wow, we're getting close, Where are we at? Here we go. I mean, it's game time. It's game time. 3 days, 15 hours. So the main event, the moon is getting closer and closer and closer. Right. It's coming. And whoever mentioned the earthquakes, very good point. That's the only thing I would be, and that's no guarantee. But I would say there could be an increase in earthquake activity. Sure. Where? Nobody knows. Nobody can predict where earthquakes are going to be. No, I've been there, done that. You can, if you really work hard at it, you can. Hey, Leanne Bennington, thank you. You can predict close when an earthquake is going to occur, maybe within a day or two, if you really just dedicate a lot of time and a lot of energy and man, you're like a cyborg collecting all this information and connecting all these dots, but you can't pinpoint where. So it's just like useless information. I've done it a few times. Through planetary alignments and solar activity and things like that. Yeah, you kind of knew, okay, well, there's an increased chance for earthquakes. Yeah, that's not really that challenging. The true challenge is where. If you don't know where, you ain't got nothing, man. It's just that simple. It is of no benefit. Oh, there's going to be an earthquake tomorrow. Where at? Yeah. Okie doke. But I can tell you this, in 3 days and 15 hours, there's going to be an eclipse of a generation, man. So we're watching the clouds. I'm over here at ventusky.com. That's not a sales pitch. I have been using Ventusky for years. It is an excellent weather platform. They are very, very good. Ventusky is good. Ventusky is wise. That's why I use Ventusky. But they're showing me clouds, man, and I'm not liking it. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm hoping they all clear out and give everybody a phenomenal show. So once again, the comet is acting up, guys. I didn't give it the name, but it is being called the Devil Comet, the comet with wings. They've called it the winged comet. Some have even referred to it as a winged planet because the coma looks so big, and that's all it is. It just aesthetically, it just looks big. The coma is much bigger than the core of the comet. Even though it's pretty good size, the coma is a false representation of how big the comet actually is. Now, the tail is going to get exponentially longer between now and even 3 days, 3.5 days. The tail is going to get longer and longer. In fact, there's some really cool photos over here. I've showed these to you before at spaceweather.com. Here's a photo here of the tail. Look at that. It's getting thick. It's reacting to the solar wind. Plus, it's already an active comet to begin with without the solar wind. Are you serious? Here's another good view of Michael Jagger. This guy, I'm telling you, look at that. Are you serious right now? Look at that. It's coming. And it's going to be chasing Jupiter through the daytime sky. Wow. Right on, man. All right, guys. That's all I got for today. I want to thank you for sharing part of your Thursday with me. It's been fun. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Who we got here? This is Leanne Bennington. Thank you, new Blue Star member. That's very kind of you. And thank all of you Blue Star members. I really appreciate it. Listen, guys, I'm going to get off here. I got to get a drink of water and a little bit of something to eat. It is dinner time. Thanks for watching. Have a super day. Be safe out there. We are about 90 hours from one of the coolest eclipses known to mankind coming up.